So, trusting in the flow of life, huh? Seems like a good topic. I was talking with a friend yesterday and they wanted to explore this trusting in the flow of life. What does that even mean? And even though we might want to trust in the flow of life, there can be habitual holdings, bracing against doing so. And so we can really kind of get focused on, how do I unhook from the holding? I know spiritual teachings tell me I need to trust in the flow of life. So how do I relax this? How do I loosen my grip? What do I do? Which is more doing. And in those moments we can trust in the flow of what's happening and say, okay, there's resistance here. Might be based in something in the past, history. Our history creates habits. History creates the ways we hold and brace. But to be a patient, loving, kind, awake, aware witness. I don't even like the word witness, but a companion to our bracing, to our holding, to our gripping, to our resistance. And the mind comes in, well, why should I trust the flow of life? Look at how it's going. Jeez. I never said trust in humans complete and like their, ability to make wise choices if they're in leadership, positions, or not act out from wounds, right? There can be a deeper trust, a trust in life. But I think sometimes we might confuse it a little bit. We've been hurt by human beings, and so how can we trust in the flow of life? Even though humanity arises out of life and is not separate from life and is part of life, life is that which is, it's fundamental, prior to, underneath, larger than, we could say, and contains. We frail humans walking around bumbling and messing up and hurting each other and making errors that often harm people. And so to ask that we trust that all humans will act from their highest place, no. I don't think that's what trust in the flow of life is about, right? So my friend kept saying that, trust in the flow of life, trust in life. And can we really trust in these bodies that get sick and age and decline and end at some point, right? Can we trust in ourselves to not be like totally reactive when that person who always says that thing that always makes us really reactive, that we're not going to do it this time? I mean, but life, trusting in the flow of life, trusting that the mind doesn't always know what the hell is going on and can't always prep for the future, mitigate it, But there are greater forces that seem to be bringing everything together, like a storm, you know. The wind and the rain and the lightning and the thunder are all perfect from a certain perspective, right? They're all doing their job. They're doing their storm job. But when the storm comes in and hits structures or buildings and, this is painful. There's hardship. But the storm is doing what the storm does, which is a result of causes and conditions. And maybe because of that storm, some area of land will benefit that couldn't before, and we rebuild. I don't know. We don't know. Not sugarcoating it, not making it sound like everything will work out. Because these bodies will fail us, and other humans will disappoint us. And we will let ourselves down sometimes. And things won't work out the way we want them to. And our leaders will endlessly shock us, I guess. At least at this point in history. And yet we can trust in humanity, in the deepest parts of humanity, the compassion that lives there in all of us. Certain individuals may disappoint us, let us down. But there does, I've seen there does seem to be a bent towards kindness, towards helping, towards compassion somewhere. There might be two people behaving egregiously, and then, well, look at that one person, so compassionate. But the mind goes, look at these two over here, right? But human kindness is still here. Compassion isn't drying up. I'm seeing a lot more compassion coming forward lately. I'm seeing a lack of compassion. But I'm also seeing more compassion. And there is something constantly unfolding. We could call it nature. It is like nature. We don't like where things are headed, or where we think they're headed, or we don't like what's unfolding or what has been. But perhaps we can trust that life finds a way to right itself. Like a tree, when someone pulls on its branches and brings it as close to the ground as possible to get that apple and then lets go, the tree then does that. And so there could be something happening in the midst of this right now in our world. But the way time is, maybe we're over here and we have a few more swings this way and that way and that way and that way before. But just in our own life, trusting that things happen as they need to, not always as we want them to. There are so many causes and conditions and karma and dharma and so many factors playing out as to why something unfolds the way it does. I'm going to trust that the right thing will appear. And then it doesn't, and it doesn't, and it doesn't. It's like, there were so many times in my life, there have been, where I want something and, it doesn't work out. And at some point, my mind stopped telling me there was something wrong with that. So it was where life was flowing. And so many things have come together and emerged and bloomed that I never thought possible or couldn't have imagined. Better than. But yeah, I don't know if trusting in the flow of life has to do with that life will deliver according to our preferences. There is an intelligence. I trust in the intelligence that even if I want something and it doesn't happen, I'm trusting. It might suck or hurt. But something is being played out, something is coming to fruition, something is falling apart that needs to. Something is finding its equilibrium. I'm moving. And so my friend asked, do you really trust in the flow of life that you're going to find the right place and that it's all going to come together? And there's so many moving parts, and how's this going to happen? And I said, yeah, I won't bore you with all the details why, we were talking about this, but yeah, there are things there, this big myth that like preferences fall away. Preferences, there you go. Preferences fall away if you become very spiritually evolved. I would say you still have preferences, you're just not attached to them. So, and then today I got good news about something, and it's working out. I'm trusting in the flow of life. But there was a deep letting go. It might not happen, might not work out. And I still don't know. It might not work out, even though I'm taking a step and I'm doing it. Parts of my preferences have worked out, but the full story remains untold. We shall see. But I know that the fundamental movement, which is that I am to move and that it's happening, is the flow. And all the details, I guess I have what it takes to meet it. And we all do. I've had medical emergencies where I didn't know what was going to happen. That's pretty scary. I'm sure each of you have had that, right? Something really scary health-wise. And to really trust that, like, okay, even if I die, even if my body drops, there is a flow that is happening. What would that be like, to trust in that? What would it be like to trust in the flow of life? I might not get better in the way that I want to get better, or I might not be able to do the thing that I used to do before the injury that now I can't. There is this blessed coming together and falling apart, and coming together and falling apart all the time with life. So things are coming together and falling apart in beautiful ways that I couldn't even imagine, and horrifying ways that we haven't imagined. And it all seems to be happening. And I think we're here for a reason, because we're meant to be here for it. Not for how our mind sees it should be, but just for life. So I don't offer any easy answers. You may be listening going, this is bullshit. This is the worst talk I've ever heard. Ugh. But what can we trust in when things seem to be in flux, when things are uncertain? I mean, because that's the kicker. The mind wants certainty. The body wants certainty. So there can be holdings at the level of the gut, the belly, existential. No, I could die. No, I could die. But there's another part of you that is totally in trust with the flow. Then let that be there. Body is holding and gripping. It's a body. And yet I trust in this flow of life. I trust with what is unfolding. I trust that answers will arise if they're meant to. I trust the way will become clear. I trust that the right support and the doors might open at the right time. And if they don't, I trust that too. And then the body starts to get on board and go, oh, okay. All right. So we're doing this kind of free fall thing, are we? And then maybe this flux and flow and chaos and perfection starts to kind of feel not good, but like there's something here holding it all together that we're a part of. We're not separate from it. Because when we feel separate from, really separate from life, then life is an object in the way that other people are objects who we can't control. But you are a part of life. So trusting in your own capacity to meet what is here is trusting in life. Trusting in your own capacity to meet what arises, because you've done it countless times in your life already, is trusting in the flow of life. So let's do a meditation with some healing energy. And I always like to call in some help from guides and beings and compassionate beings throughout all the realms and dimensions. We're not doing this alone. It's okay if you don't believe it. But let's dive in. Resting with your body as it is right now. As chaotic or perfect as it is. Messy or beautiful. And letting your body be held by what you were seated on. letting the ground hold you. The earth holding you. There is so much going on that we are not aware of. Just in our own bodies, our digestion, we don't know how it works. I mean, maybe we've read a book, but our respiratory system, all of that going on seemingly behind the scenes because we are not aware of it. Your beautiful brain doing its thing right now. So intricate, so exquisitely detailed. All of its workings firing. Underneath you, deep within the soil, there are roots moving, plunging themselves more deep into the earth. There are ecosystems, all finding their balance. And so too are you. So bringing your attention to your own being here and now matters because you're a part of the whole. And so we bring in our guides, angels, ancestors, the ascended masters. We call in compassionate beings throughout all the realms and dimensions, benevolent beings who have awakened before us through the centuries, all gathering around us now in loving support of our highest healings, our deepest awakenings, and our most vibrant thriving and alignment. And letting yourself be held in this. Not because you deserve it, or you've been good today, or checked all the boxes off your to-do list, or are a great spiritual practitioner, but simply because you exist. Simply because you are. You have this support. And so there is an upwelling of beautiful golden energy from the center of the earth, bubbling up, flowing upward, vibrant, loving, nourishing and replenishing as it begins to flow through the soles of your feet and up through your root, your perineum. Beautiful golden energy flowing into your legs, your hips, your pelvic area. Filling your belly and lower back, your rib cage, all your organs, your chest, your shoulders, upper back, and flowing down into your arms and hands, fingers. And into your neck and head. And flowing out through the top of your head and showering down around you. You are a fountain of life. And our most fundamental prayer can be not for life to go our way, but for us to remain flexible and resilient and open, even in the face of our own contractions and inflexibility. Our prayer is to even be open to that. To be curious, to never take things at face value, to trust that we're not separate from what is unfolding. We haven't been forgotten. We have not been cast out. We are flowing with life because we are life. And so we rest here in this flow, being held. Placing a hand on your chest, the other on your belly. Enjoying the breath and that movement. And if you feel like opening your eyes. And as your eyes are open, staying connected as best you can to your own being. And maybe reflecting for a moment on times in your life when you trusted in the flow of life. You trusted. And what does that feel like in your body to trust the flow of life, to trust what's unfolding, to trust that you don't have all the answers and that they're not needed, actually. To trust in being held by something larger than your sweet, fragile humanity. Which you're not separate from, and at the same time is holding you. The sacred paradox. What does that feel like in your body? And if you want to put something in the chat, some words, I'm putting some, what that has felt when you have let go. Have let go even in the midst of your holding. Opened in the midst of your contraction. Gabriella, like being a kid again. Yeah, we were all far more innocent, right? Like, yeah. Brooke says it feels lighter, right? Lighter when we've trusted in the flow of life. We've got relaxation, warmth, stillness, light, surrender, sometimes sillier, like surrendering to feeling silly. I love the word silly. I mean, with the name Sarah, it's easy to, in knowing me, it's easy to guess that I was nicknamed Silly Sarah sometimes. Compassion, Julie says. Yes. Compassion. Compassion. What is, Julie, can you unmute yourself and share what compassion, while you trust the flow of life, what that feels like? Is compassion the flow? Does the flow contain compassion? Does the flow of life elicit compassion? Do you know how to unmute yourself? You're on an iPhone, so it's a little, you have to tap the screen and then.
Yeah, there it is. I had to get rid of a screen. Yeah. So compassion, sometimes when I'm in the midst of chaos, but I know that there is a flow to life. Every part of my body is taught and wants to fight against what's happening. But I'm able, there's some part of me that can offer compassion to that part of me that is wanting to fight, wanting to grasp, to hold, to resist what is. And that feels comforting.
Mm-hmm.
It helps that part of myself let go more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not either or. You're not either contracted or open. There's an openness that can hold the contraction.
Exactly.
And how wonderful that the response of compassion arises when there is resistance or holding, you know. This is something that becomes a bit of a reflex at some point. Instead of the shame and, you know, being down on ourselves, right?
Right. And you can even at times recognize, oh, there's shame here now.
That's right, yeah. And there's compassion for that.
There's compassion for that.
Yeah. It's layer after layer after layer. There's space for it, there's compassion for it. The space is the compassion. The space is the compassion. There's space for it all to be here. And how wonderful to walk around just brimming with compassion, because there are so many resistances coming up. Oh, I'm feeling really compassionate today. Oh, everything must be going wrong in Sarah's life. Yes, I'm really compassionate. Yeah. Anger arises when sense of separation from others, from life. Compassion. And at a certain point, it's not a conflict for there to be these parts, these aspects of life interacting with life itself. It's just life interacting with various parts of itself. Compassion, surrender. And look, it's hard to do that today, you know, these days with the world. There's a lot that we cannot control. And we know this from great spiritual teachings, you know, we can't control everything. And we want to release our grip. But when we see injustice and pain and suffering, but just as Julie said, that compassion arises, right? And in that sea, that space of compassion, there's a lot of possibility that can arise. Maybe not for you singularly as an individual in that moment, but as a point of light within this great vast ocean of consciousness that is life. Being that compassionate space. Finding the possibility in your own life is a sacred movement. Finding forgiveness in your own life. So may we all trust in the flow of life in whatever way that shows up. whether we like what's happening or not, right? And if we don't trust, may we trust in the not trusting and find space for that, for compassion. There's endless opportunities to open to that compassion, to allow that compassion to arise and flow and be here. It's just compassion for our humanity, because this shit is hard, in case you didn't figure that out yet. It's not awful necessarily, but it's hard. The mind might say, therefore, it's all awful. But I encourage each of you to find reasons to open to compassion when you're with people, when you're walking down the street, when you're noticing your own habitual reflexes. Layer upon layer, opportunity after opportunity to soften with what is here, which does elicit a kind of trust. So, with 2 minutes left, let's just sit together, shall we? Trusting in this group energy tonight, this group intention. You could be anywhere else, but you chose to be here tonight, together with all of us. So thank you, guides, angels, ancestors, the ascended masters, compassionate beings throughout all the realms and dimensions, all those who have awakened before us through the centuries. May these healing energies that bubble up from the earth and fill us and flow through us as us continue for the rest of the night, while we sleep, and in the coming days, bringing further balance, clarity, and wholeness. And so it is. Thanks for watching and listening. And if this has been helpful to you, please subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified about whenever I put out a new video, and let me know in the comments, how are you doing? All right, till next time, take care.